folks, welcome back to Maypole Farm, and it is the night time. And before I sleep, I have added in the red tape mod. So we're going to have a quick look at that because I wanted to do that before I slept in case it introduces any fun quirks. We're also almost out of fuel, and I'm going to put in a petrol tank so that we can put diesel in our tractors because giants call them petrol tanks. And I'm running version 1.11 of red tape, which introduces grants, and we might be able to get a grant for that. So yeah, let's have a look. I've just finished feeding the cows, and I've completely filled the troughs because it's something that we need to do with red tape. Well, we need to make sure they've got food. So policies that we have active: water contamination, so not spraying prohibited stuff within 14 meters of water bodies. Now, we do have a water body here. Not sure how close our field gets to that, so we'll have to bear that in mind. Sustainable forestry. I'm curious about this one. It basically means planting more trees than you cut down on your own land. So might have a look at planting some trees. We have cut down some trees on our land in the past. We do need logs to run our grain dryer because the developer of that mod is a pain. So we'll have a look at that. I'm tempted to maybe see, I don't know if it exists on this version. Yeah. Previously we brought plot 129. It's quite cheap. It's a nice little forestry plot, and we could maybe use that for some sustainable forestry on here. On previous version of the map, the patrons clear cut it for me, and we had it as a pasture. Anyway, animal condition. So basically, maintain productivity. We're trying to do that anyway. Make sure they've got bedding. We can't spread slurry between September and December. Could be a problem for us, but slurry management. Make sure that our slurry stores aren't too full. Keep an eye on that. Manure management. No more than 50% of the manure that you produce in a 6 month. Make sure that you're not storing more than 50%. We need to keep an eye on that because we tend to have quite a lot. Crop rotation we'll look at in a bit. Animal spacing. I'm not sure how that works yet. Animal feed. Make sure that we feed them enough. Okay. Schemes. What do we have available to us at the moment? Natural fertilizer. Encourage you to use natural fertilizer such as manure. You receive a bonus for the amount of natural fertilizer you use compared to synthetics. I'm not sure how this works with precision farming, but we are going to select this one because I'm trying to use as much of that as I can anyway. Reduce bale wrapping. So punishes wrapping bales. We do a little bit of bale wrapping, so I'm not so sure on that one at the moment. If in the future we can get another silage clamp, then yes, because we can use that for our grass silage. Natural grazing, we're not doing any of that at the moment. And there's a brand demo for a cruddy little trailer. Not so keen on that. At the moment, taxes, we'll see how that goes. I've reduced the tax rate to 10% just to see how we get on with this. Event log, crop rotation. So at the moment, not much going on in there yet. Grants available. We'll have a look at that in a bit. So this is a new feature, I think. So if we now sleep, and I'm going to get up fairly early because we're running the fixed time. I am going to slow down time so that we can look at the grants and see if we can get a grant for the fuel tank that we need. So this is the Cowshed 1 has unread messages. Cowshed 2 has unread messages. And it's currently raining on our hay. That sucks. Let's check. The old weather forecast. So it's going to be raining until 10 and then it's going to dry out. So that's okay. Cows are okay-ish food. We've got about 8,000 litres in the thingy. And yeah, I'm not sure how we get those messages. is, so there's this menu, but nothing. And if we go down the animals, yeah, so if you know how we get those messages, that would be useful. Is it if we go into dialogue? No, I'm not sure. So that's kind of bugging me at the moment. Night is raining on our lovely hay. Not that it matters because, you know. Anyway. Now that we've slept, has red tape picked up anything? More expenses. Good. Expenses. Good. Right. So let's go into... Wrong one. Shift P. Construction menu. Containers, isn't it? So... Apply for grant is grayed out on those. So we could get a grant for the big wooden shed. Get a grant for a BGA. Curious now. What we can get a grant for. Grain dryer. Do I not have my own BGA installed? Well, that was short-sighted of me, wasn't it? So I wonder if, and one of you watching may know, there's like a value limit, or if it's random to apply for grants. We are going to need a silo at some point, but, you know, space is an issue, and it being dark is an issue for construction. So let's skip ahead to daylight. There we go. Get back into construction menu. So I'm kind of curious how the grant system works. We could put a silo here if we cleared up all that junk, or another shed, but now we need fuel. We need an fuel tank, and I have no idea where I'm actually planning to put this thing. I mean, here would be sensible if I tidied up a bit. So, because the Steyr is basically out of fuel. Let's drop that off. Let's move. Everything's got lights on because we were working in the dark earlier. Bung that in there. That's front loader forks. Thankfully, I'm rather strong, so we'll move that out of the way. Yeah, I know I said about making things more difficult, but we could probably get rid of those. And then, yeah, I think... And realistically, we only need the smallest fuel tank, because we can just refill it. But I think we bung it there. Yep, that'll work. Don't need 5,000 litres. That'll probably do. disconnect that, and let's put some fuel in this guy, because it was making me a tad nervous. And then I think we will... Curious how much it's going to take, actually. To refill it. I don't know how much these tractors hold. More than I thought. Anyway, that'll probably last us a good wee while. Let's get the time running, because we can't do anything in this rain. And let's 70, 90. Let's put half of this in each shed. Basically, it wouldn't fit last night. So I was trying to be more strict with my mixing, but occasionally I wasn't. So my plan is to alter the recipe to force myself to be more strict. And I'm going to put a minimum 1% on the mineral feed. I'm not going to on root crops, just in case we run out. I don't want to hard lock myself on food. Because that would be... Does that turn back into grass? I don't think it does that, unless one of the mods that we're running does that. I don't think that's a thing in FS25. That's hay still. So we're going to want to get this guy hooked up to the baler, ready to go. We should have a look. We should probably think about shifting some manure while we wait. Although once we are done, we could put the manure on the field. So here's that. That's the other question. Do I sell the little doits? Pay for the Ford we were talking about. It's worth 12 grand. It might be worth more if we take it to the shop as well. So if we keep an eye on the sales still, I could do with a bigger feed mixer at this point as well. An extra 6,000 litres is not enough. So mixing 18,000 litres at a time is getting a bit annoying. That's that one. But we'd probably have to go to like that, which one needs a lot of power. So the tractor I'm planning to buy wouldn't work. And it's a lot of cash. But yeah, I did 4 mixes last night, I think, to feed the cows. Anyway, let's get out of this rain because it's a bit cruddy. Right, the rain has stopped. Let's go get this hay baled, and then we're going to need to lease the bale stacker. Yeah, so we've got a cosplay course loaded still. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, I've added red tape to Kinlag as well. Done the day's worth of play with it on there. Not really learnt very much, to be honest. But we'll see how we get on. So bale size, we've got 240s. Yeah, that'll do. We'll go for big old bales of hay this time. If you're curious about the Kinlag series and you're enjoying that, it'll be back soon. I've got a couple of videos worth of footage recorded. There may even be one this week. This week is looking like it's going to be pretty savage until the back end of the week. Work's very, very busy, as I've said recently, and it's not easing up. It's going to be like that for a couple of weeks. So, yes, I'm going to keep moaning about it because that's what I do. And Dad's not very well at the moment either. So, yeah. Things are a little bit hectic, shall we say. But anywho, we keep going. So, yeah, I'm really excited about seeing what red tape is going to bring to the game. Just seeing the different things has got my brain working. The sustainable forestry thing has got me thinking about agroforestry. So Farm Sim Tim has an agroforestry mod, which is about setting up your like rows of trees within your fields and stuff. Not really looked at that, but it's got me curious about that. I know it's something that Dagwin used to blather on about in his videos, and I never really paid much attention to it because, to be honest, most things that Dagwin used to blather on about in the videos when I used to watch them, I never really paid much attention on to, because he was always going on about, oh, we don't want to cut down the trees in Farm Sim because they're fake trees and you don't really care about fake trees. But Mr. Oz, who I was introduced to at Llama, and I wish I was using red tape before then because I could have then asked him many questions, has now got me curious about more sustainable forestry and farming. So yeah, maybe we'll introduce some agroforestry to how we do things. We're certainly going to have to look at crop rotation even before we get Paint the Farms or Paint a Farms crop rotation mod, which is cool. Because I think with this, from the little bit that I've read, you just have to do a different crop. So that's fine. I'm curious how it's going to handle our triple cropping and, you know, the fact that I like to do cover crops and things like that. And the fact that this is permanent pasture, I don't know how it handles that. And if it penalises us for having permanent pasture. Again, if you know, help me out down below. Didn't mean for that to rhyme, but, you know, I'm a poet and I wasn't aware of that. So, yeah. Basically, any tips with using this are very welcome, because this time, folks, I am the noob. So, yeah, I kind of like that. I think so far, most times that I've started the game up, you get similar, what are they? Schemes offered. Sometimes I've had like a crop one. The first time I loaded it into Kinlag, it was a potato one and it offered a potato harvester. I then quit the game without saving and it offered me a parsnip one with like the single row parsnip harvester, so we didn't go for that because that's painful. I've had like a cover crop one. There's been offered one where you don't cut the grass until summer and you get some sort of bonus for that. I'm kind of curious how well some of these pay versus what you would get off of the crop and that kind of thing. Because generally, most of us, I think, like to be quite intensive with our farming. So this is interesting. Interesting. It's got me intrigued. You know, the idea of not cutting the grass in the first 3 months of the year in Farm Sim is really because you're essentially missing out on a whole cutting cycle. So how's that going to compensate me? Because that's a lot of uncut grass. In our case, that's a lot of feed that we're missing out on. The natural grazing one is interesting. Obviously, at the moment, our farm doesn't have any natural grazing, but maybe in the future it will. Who knows? Who knows? It certainly got me thinking about different ways of doing things, which is what I wanted, you know? Amazing how one mod can change your outlook on things. Now, there are other things coming that are going to maybe help with the challenge element of the game. I mean, having a tax bill is going to help because, well, not really, but, you know, the financial challenge is going to be different. We're going to have to be cognizant of that because we are making money on here. So now we might play the old game that some people play in real life and make sure that we have some expenses so we don't get a tax bill, you know? Heard people do that. Generated in April, so if in March it looks like we've got a lot of profit, maybe we'll have some expenses. Yeah, we'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on, folks. But it's got me interested and excited. And the same on Kinlag, you know, I was looking around the land that we so where can I plant trees? Cool, it's cool. Yeah. You'll see it's a couple of videos away on there, but I was ready to start the video and plant a field, and I was like, nope, I need to, it's going to use fertilizer, I need to put digestate on there first. It's good fun. It's got me thinking about how I'm doing things more, and like fertilizing contracts. Now I'm thinking, well, I want to have a slurry spreader and a tender so that we can keep it full. So we probably need more kit. Now on the Kinlag one, that's easier because we've got more cash. On here it's harder because we're not so currently cash positive. That probably means me bringing in auto drive, which I haven't used in ages. And yeah, it's just got me a little bit more excited about things. I wish we had pumps and hoses again. Now, using pumps and hoses for a contract is a big faff. I probably wouldn't do that, but on, you know, like on this farm that's not big, pumps and hoses would be brilliant. Yeah, I'm curious how the grant scheme works. I might try and have a look in the magic that is Lure to see if I can work it out, and what the limits are and stuff. Because that might help us with thinking about upgrades. You know, like if I know that the minimum is a certain amount, then maybe we can plan for when we want to get a silo, or a production to help deal with the slurry and the manure. Obviously, that's probably going to be a BGA. Yes, I know we've got one on Kinlag, but I'm doing a lot more videos on here now than I am on Kinlag, so you're not seeing that as much. And B, it's about the best way. I think it fits in with the sustainability of red tape, in that we're using the waste products from the animals to produce energy. So I think that's good. Oh, I wonder. So I was looking at, again, it fits. I was just thinking about talking about sustainability. I was looking at generators. I'm not sure what the percentages of the grants, but I was curious about getting like a wind generator on here because they take a couple of years to pay off. But and I wonder if we could apply for a grant for one. And I say I don't know how the grants work in terms of like funding versus what we have to pay and that kind of thing. Maybe we could try it. I'm going to finish these 2 rows. So before we do the other half of baling the hay, we'll slow the clock down for a second. Let's do it now. Slow the clock down for a sec. Stop the clock. I think they're in here. Generators. Okay, so we can't apply for a grant for those, I guess, because they produce income, maybe? Okay. Can apply for a grant for some of the animal sheds, which is cool. Anywho, let's put the clock back on. Yeah. Okay, it's interesting. Maybe you need to have a look at what's allowed. So I can understand a bit more how we can make use of the grant system, not exploit. We don't want to exploit, make use of it. Maximize our potential. And maybe that is with like a BGA. We would need land to put the BGA on, which we don't have much of at the moment. But yeah, that's a thought. It's a thought. I don't know if there's any little plots of land we could pick up to get a BGA on. I don't remember if there are any like little production sites on here that you can buy. Certainly some little grass fields we could buy and put one on. They're a little bit further away, but if I'm going to be putting in auto drive anyway, that's not a big problem. I need to have a look and see if there's an auto drive. I'm sure there is an auto drive network for the map. I mean, it doesn't matter if there's not, because I can start building one. Yeah, what I'm thinking is like one of 94 or 95, and I think we can kind of work our way through over here and get to that. That's a sell point, I think, so that's not down over here is all sell points. I don't think that's a plot we could buy. We could maybe pick up one of these, like 70 grand. That's not out of the realms of possibility. So if we could then get a grant for the BGA, like a few days worth of milk sales, I think. Maybe we put buying the new tractor on hold for a bit. Where are we at the moment? We've got 30 grand's worth of milk at the moment. And we'd get probably half a grass field out of it as well. We could put another site. We could put silage clamps up there as well, which is obviously not ideal, but would allow us to move away from bale wrapping. Sustainability, folks. Sustainability. The only reason I'm thinking over there is those fields are flat, whereas where we are is not very flat, unless something like 103 is flat. Maybe we have to do a little bit of wrecking in next video, where hopefully I'll have had a chance to have a look at the grant system, because it's pretty new. I think it's new for this. So I think it's new for this version, which is on GitHub currently, of Red Tape. But yeah, that would give us a way of managing our visit. It's pretty darn flat. Pretty darn flat, isn't it? 104. That's got crop in it, which is less useful, but that is also pretty darn flat. So that's 140. So that's only 90 grand. Well, you've got field 100, which is 43,000, which, yes, has got crop in it, but sorry, folks. Side quest. Waiting for another diagnosis before you ask. Flight mode. Flight state on. Air speed. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad little site for a BGA and some sidage clamps. And we're not that far from the farm. And it's easily drivable. Or you've got 103, which we just looked at, which is very close to the farm, but is actually quite a nice field. So maybe 100 is a good option, because it's pretty cruddy soil. It's pretty cheap. Very drivable. So these were the grass fields I was thinking of. But then we lose grass fields. I think that we could always open up an entrance there as well, so we don't have to go into that corner. I think field 100, folks, is a prime candidate. It's got a harvestable crop of beets in it, which honestly we probably wouldn't worry about. But I wonder if there's a field. There's not a harvesting contract on there, but yeah. I'm kind of thinking that. Oh, let's turn off all of the flight stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking that might be a good way to do that. And probably and we've got like 100 grand of sugar beet to sell as well. So we could use that to get everything set up. And that would probably let us put in a nice little installation up there of a BGA. Probably use my BGA at that point, even if we can't get a grant for it. And a clamp or two. That way, any excess grass that we get, we can do as bales rather. Now, the interesting question is, if we do baling contracts that make silage bales, do they count against us? I don't think contract work counts against us, so. And obviously the loading wagon we were using for indirect grazing, which has got to be sustainable, folks. It's got to be, hasn't it? So, yeah. Liking that thought. Liking that thought. Oh, we need to do... And one of these. Yeah, I'm liking that. It's got me excited, folks. It's got me excited. And, you know, with where I was rambling away last week about stuff, complexity, it's what I want. And challenge. And got to make that complexity and challenge ourselves, because giants don't want to do it. And they published their roadmap this week. I only half-assed bothered looking at it because they're only half-assing it at the moment, and the roadmap is basically do season pass. So yeah, sorry about that little real life interrupt there. Yeah, it's like roadmap do season pass. I'm really hoping, as I keep blathering on about, I'm really hoping we see pumps and hoses come back. I guess that's down to whether, was that Creative Mesh have the time / want to do it again. Well, no, it was one that was very mixed on the reception of it. It was one that, when I used it infrequently, but when I used it, when I actually wanted to use it, I really enjoyed it. So, and it's like, I miss having the option to use it. I think that's the thing. It's nice having options. So, 37 bales. That's not bad. That's not bad. So we are going to use the bale stacker, auto stacker, partly because it keeps things neat in the yard, and partly for speed. Should wash the baler, but I'm feeling lazy. I am a little bit. So we went through a lot of silage feeding the cows last night. But we probably do need an extra silage clamps just to produce the amount of silage that we need for them. But anywho, let's get that guy leased. Where are we? B for bale transport. Arcusin. Lease. Yes, please. Money's getting low. Let's just have another peek at... Sorry, I'm really curious about how this handles everything. As it becomes less new, we'll keep looking at it less. But for now, it's the new shiny. So the thing that's got me excited about the game a bit again. Let's get these all picked and stacked. And actually, it's a good job we started doing this when we did, because it's taken a bit longer than I expected to get it all done. It's cool seeing, I'm pretty sure it was this that they had at Llama this year, or a version of this. It was kind of cool seeing it. The one I saw in real life was not quite this, but it was very sure it was a similar version to this. So yeah, like a magical bale stacking. The one I saw working, like a magical bale stacking machine. They are very cool. They are very cool. Obviously, they make life way easier, but very expensive. But it was a contracting operation that I saw working. They were, so I'm pretty sure the local farmer, well, I know that, so they use a contractor to do their harvesting. And I kind of wonder if as part of that deal, the contractors get the straw. Because from what I've seen, the farmers don't have any use for it. The local farmers, and there are some very big straw sheds on some of the farms around here that aren't the farms that own the land. So I wonder if they are the ones that do the contract harvesting, or if they just buy it from all of the local farms. I don't know. I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that the local farms doesn't have a use for the straw that they produce, because they don't have animals. And I also don't think they have storage for it, so... So we have done a pretty big hit on our stored hay, so this is going to help. And these are bigger bales than we have currently, so... We'll back these in a bit deeper. And I'll do those too deep. Not too deep, but too deep. But we'll try and use up the older ones first. So another mod that I was looking at, which was an arrow mod, which has been picked up by a modder whose name I've forgotten, was Fresh. I don't know if any of you are using that, which makes your products have life. Now, I don't know if that introduces bale rotting, which I'm curious about if it does. Because again, that's going to add like a management aspect to things. So yeah, one I might want to have a look at, as we just try and make the game more fun and challenging. I'm not planning to update realistic livestock because not right now anyway, because I don't have the spare brain cycles to pull out the changes that I made and make it so that I can load those into a new version easily. I think just after I made the changes I made, Arrow made it so that you can point realistic livestock to a file with those changes in. It wasn't possible at the time that I made the changes, and so I integrated them into realistic livestock, annoyingly. And I don't want to remember that I made the changes a long time ago. You know, we're on episode now approaching 40. And I don't want to currently, just life's pretty hectic, as I've explained already. Maybe in a few weeks when work's settled down, I'll have the time to sit and do that. Although at the moment we don't need the more changes really. I'm kind of happy with what that brings, so I don't know if we need to update it particularly. And I'm running a fairly old version of realistic livestock, but does that matter? I don't know. Maybe one of you can explain to me why I need to update it. Do have a decent stock of bales on hand now. Where are we going to put these ones? In front of the other ones we've just made, I think. Can I manage that without too many issues? Well, I am an expert at maneuvering a trailer, so of course I can. It was kind of cool watching a guy actually maneuver one of these. Again, everything about seeing this thing in real life was cool. So what he did, because he was good, so he got into position before he even stood the thing up, because obviously having this much mass stood up vertically, the physics of that would not be good, I don't think. But, you know, it's farm sim. It's fine. Right, we're going to drop it and then just nudge it back a little bit. Go. So they made a gigantic stack of bales. All straw bales, like a bit like that, but yeah, massive. In the field, they weren't playing with seasons on because it was rain. Or they were using seasons light like we do because it was raining. And their straw obviously wasn't going to rot because they were using seasons light. And that's kind of what they seem to do. So around here, I don't know what they do in the rest of the country, but definitely in S16 they will make gigantic bale stacks in the field and then at some point clear them. But they tend to sit there for quite a long time on some fields, fairly remotely as well. I guess it's that, you know, the tractor with the bale stacker goes out, clears the field, because sometimes they'll be on like hard standing and stuff. And then I guess they wait for transport to be able to move them to wherever they've been sold to. Alright, that is all of the bales. Is there one in the corner down there? Or is that just that's just uncollected grass? Awesome. Cool. Right, we'll get these stacked, and that's going to be it, folks. So I think we will be back in November. We might make use of the rest of the day. I'm not sure. We might get some manure spreading done. Because it does feel like a bit of a waste of half of a day when we are on fixed time. But I am about out of time for today. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on my plan for building ourselves a little off-farm BGA site. Let me know if you have any experience with the fresh mod. I think that's, I think it's fresh, or you possibly know what I mean anyway. Thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. I will see you guys next time.